So good morning and welcome everybody, and thank you for taking the time to listen to the experts sitting except me, of course. I'm not an expert, but to sit with the experts next to me. I'm very thrilled, and of course as well, we're going to talk about how to connect and how to interconnect actually now and in the future, and then what choice and new standards do we have? What's out there? What's coming to us, or should be optimized the current interconnection tools we have. So I would like to thank the audience. I know it's not that many. I want to thank you anyway for joining us. Sorry for my voice, but I think that was yesterday evening which bumped in now. So apologize for that. So I would like to give quickly my fellow panelists a quick minute to introduce themselves. So Gabor, if I may start with you, please.
Happy, thank you. So good morning, everyone. My name is Gabor Deri. I am leading a team called Customer Sales and Service Desk in Deutsche Telekom Global Carrier. Just a few words about who Deutsche Telekom Global Carrier is. In fact, we are the international wholesale provider of the Deutsche Telekom family. And saying that family, it means that it's not only the German affiliate, but including majority of the affiliated companies we have around the European footprint. We are mainly covering all the, on one side, legacy services. You may mean like IP transit, connectivity services, voice. Let's say we have voice and mobile connectivity solutions. We have data and transport services ranging from 2 meg up to the 400G in the complete footprint. We are also providing in-flight connectivity services up to the airplanes in the European airspace. We are providing commercial roaming services. In fact, that's what we are. But I said the word the legacy on the other side. Deutsche Telekom is currently identified as one of the biggest innovators on the wholesale market, or the international wholesale market. Our company's key mission is to become the leading digital network and solutions provider in this industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And before we go to Nevin, we would also like to thank Deutsche Telekom for sponsoring this session. So thank you for that as well, Gabor.
It's our pleasure to be in such a good company. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nevin?
Hi, my name is Nevin. I'm from Netera, headquartered in Bulgaria, in Sofia. Netera is a wholesale provider, last mile access provider. We provide services in 65 countries around the world as of last month, which they grow all the time. We provide connectivity, cybersecurity, core network management, and similar services like that. I'm also the chairman of the board of the European Competitive Telecom Association, which is the largest and most influential association of competitive telecoms in Europe. And actually, I'll be attending a meeting with the Commissioner Breton in 2 weeks, which is very important. We work for a lot of operators. We work very little with Deutsche Telekom, which we would like to correct if possible, because I think that
He's sitting next to you, so
that they can gain from our expertise as well, and we can help each other. I think that's
okay.
Okay, yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Carsten?
To me, my name is Carsten Schiefner. I'm a self-employed independent consultant for all things internet infrastructure at the crossroads of policy, economy, technology, and security. So in that instance, my clients, so to say, get a quite rich portfolio of whatever they would like to pick from. And in that instance, I look at the market, at the interconnection market as well. So internet infrastructure obviously is also internet exchange points, for example, data centers and so forth. So I look at the market from a sort of outsider point of view, which is also interesting, and I hope hopefully I'm able to add to the discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carsten, for being here. Exactly, that's why as well you're sitting here, because we need different angles, dealing with the different approaches you know, from even if those are questions, but those questions is something that we learn from, and we mainly as operators or whatever, you know, we can serve better. So thank you for that. And now, last but not least, we're going a little bit virtual now. A little bit. We go full virtual here, and we go to Hussein. Hussein, welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Hussein Barakat. I work for Betelco, Bahrain Telecommunications Company, which is historically the incumbent. You hear me well? Okay, which is Betelco is historically the incumbent telecom company in Bahrain. So we have all the flavors of telecommunications legacy services plus new innovative services, including launching Manama Internet Exchange with partnership with Amsterdam Internet Exchange. And we were the fastest growing internet exchange in the region with capacity surpassing 400 gigs. Now 400 gigs is a lot for the region like the Middle East. Again, Betelco is part of a group called Beyond. It was rebranded a few months ago. Now Beyond owns Betelco and owns other 4 companies in cybersecurity, in ICT and solution and financial services. In addition to that, we own JVs in the region. In Jordan, we own Omnia Telecom Company. We own part of Dirago in the Maldives. And we own a part of an ISP in Saudi Arabia called Adib. So that's in a nutshell what we do.
Okay, thank you so much, Hussein, and also to you and the rest of the welcome to this panel. And thank you again for being here. Now, Gabor, let me dig in here. From your point of view, from Deutsche Telekom, what are the biggest trends and factors affecting the current connectivity market, and how can we meet the demand which is clearly out there?
Yeah, well, when we talk about the connectivity, then obviously there are 2 major things which are catching up. On one side, that what we see that the players on the market are on one side providing more and more data capabilities and connectivity capabilities down to their customer demands. Let it be backbone infrastructure demands, connecting cloud services, connecting cloud service providers facilities, or just in fact pure consumers at the end of the day. And also there is a demand coming from the enterprise that they are looking for how they are able to connect and integrate their network and even connect their people. The pandemic effect is currently decreasing in the sense of that even the enterprises of a couple of years in the way that moving into home office connectivity demands, then now getting back to industry, to the offices, getting back more to the industry. So it means that it's a more healthy combination of what we have in terms of the demands coming from the consumers, coming from the enterprises or the business users. What it implies definitely is that these customers on one side are willing to increase their capacities connecting to their core resources, let it be in cloud environment or their own natively, be it network resources or capabilities. And they are also trying to diversify the services what they have. So they are not moving purely to the internet and having some kind of SD-WAN application on top of it, because what we also saw that the network and even behind that, the IT capabilities remain the same. Companies were thinking about replacing this stuff as the developments are moving on, how they are moving into new environments what the cloud is offering to them. All in all, how it comes down that we have an increased backbone demand coming from the players, and also on the other side we have a higher interconnection needs, because there is no one on this market who is able to cover all the geographies or the services and technologies. That's just the normal thing. So we are here all in a cooperation model, like Neven said, that we need to focus on that, how we are cooperating with each other, and not only based on each other's expertise, but also on one side the shared size of our network coverage. Also on the other side, on the developments, what we are putting into that, laying more fibers into the ground, being able to connect more customers with 5G, for instance, in terms of the access and also the user level. We need to make sure that these companies are able to do the exchange of this traffic. Interconnections at the main data centers is a key need between the players on a bilateral way, but also we need to see on the other side that these players are covering rather networks or covering bigger geographies than just dedicated endpoints for the customers it used to be before. So it means that the focus has to be put on that we are finding an effective way and efficient way, which is not taking too long to establish direct interconnections, but we are also able to exchange for our consumers or customer use the services as quickly as possible, and also as automated as possible. Automation is not going to be in place as long as we need to connect each other's ports with a patch cable each and every time. We need to find ways how we are getting through that. We are being able to interconnect by APIs, making able to not even going down to the network control, but at least being able to commercially and on an agreement level, we are exchanging with each other the services underneath, and then able to deliver for our customers the solutions. So at the end, I think we as the operators and the telco players have to put a lot of focus on to make it efficient, effective, quick, just for the sheer customer experience.
Thank you. Nevin? What are the key trends or that you see which are affecting actually the connectivity market?
I mean, we can look at the connectivity market, the connectivity in several segments. Okay. Let's start with the connectivity between operators. Now, I am personally amazed. I mean, I'm for 20. I have been more years in this business than I would like to admit, and I have constantly been shocked how for so many years, and we're in the 21st century, the telecom operators in the world still cannot find a common language and a common standard that they can interconnect in a way that they can just seamlessly transfer services, you know, from one to another. Netera is a member of the TM forum, and we also, you know, using the MEF standards as well. But we have a terrible experience. You know, we're struggling to build sound and working interconnections with other operators. It's such a struggle, you know, especially with the big operators. They have so much bureaucracy and so much things that it simply don't work. It is terrible. Okay, looking at the connectivity and the ways to interconnect with the last mile, with the actual consumers. You're probably aware there is a lot of talking about 5G. I think it's borderline bullshit because not because it's a bad technology. I know the 5G is a very good technology and it's here to stay, and it's better than 4G. The only thing is the average enterprise customer doesn't need anything more than 4G for what they need. So 5G for the end user point of view is completely useless. It is useful for the new markets, for the connected cars, for all these sexy things that are gonna come, and they're not here, and we don't know when they're gonna come. But for the actual users, the enterprise, the factories, the offices, the low offices, if you want, the students, the schools and dormitories, fiber is here to stay, and it's not here everywhere. Europe still lacks in fiber coverage, and the regulation lacks the ability and the power to enforce better competition, encourage more investment in this area. The big operators, being incumbents, do not need to do a lot, because they're already there. They have enough business, and I think it's actually quite bad. And in this environment, we are so surprised to see somebody like Elon Musk show up with something called Starlink, which I can tell you is revolutionary. The satellite terminal that this guy came up with, I have been personally trying to order something like that for more than 10 years, because I know the technology exists. And the best offer that I got before Starlink showed up on my doorstep was $50,000. He is selling a terminal for less than $1,000, which everybody says is below cost, but the cost is maybe double, it's triple, it's not 50 times more for sure. So he actually did something that the telecom industry could not manufacture for more than 50 years. Thinking when satellite, since Arthur Clarke, invented the geostationary satellite, okay, which was more than 80 years ago, I think. The satellite industry is so good and so advanced, could not do, and somebody outside the industry showed up and said, oh, why don't I do a good terminal? And he actually did it. So we are just sitting ducks and we're waiting for somebody to shoot us, That's what's happening, I think.
Okay, that's an interesting approach and somewhere realistic as well. So
well, I'm just talking facts, okay?
Yeah, no, that's what it is. But interesting to hear it and to listen to it and to share. Hussein, from your point of view in your region, what are the key trends that you are seeing?
Yeah, I would say the main factor is CDNs. Now, I'll tell you the story from my side. Now, I think the main driver is the home users for the enterprise market. Now, home users and gamers, like our children and teenagers, they want good connectivity to AWS, Azure, Google, and other CDNs. Now, if you are an ISP and you are not having a good connection to those CDNs, others will surpass you and you will lose a big market share soon if you don't connect to these CDNs. And the children and the teenagers will notice lag and high latencies to those CDNs. Now, the enterprise market got the benefit of connecting to those CDNs as a collateral benefit. The main driver was the children which are sitting at home. The other factor is the COVID pandemic. Now, just before COVID, my organization was ready with going digital with applications like Microsoft Teams. Now, I remember someone from the team in my company I asked him to join a meeting and he said, where is the meeting room? Then I told him the meeting is on Microsoft Teams. And he said, what is Microsoft Teams? Now that was 3 or 4 years ago. If you come today to a 4-year-old or 5-year-old child, you tell him what is Microsoft Teams, he will explain to you all the bells and whistles of Microsoft Teams. Now this affected the market big time, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Kirsten, of course, we see, I mean, pinpointed on quite some challenges we see. So,
I have more.
Huh? Yeah, no, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Kirsten, from your point of view, what are the key challenges affecting the players, given the capacity shortage due to the global market situation? Where do you see the main challenges from your angle?
First of all, I would question a little bit if that there is truly a real capacity shortage, like a big time shortage, as in fiber is put to the ground and will continue to be put into the ground. So in that instance, stating that there is a capacity shortage, I'm a bit wary whether that is really fully the case. In terms of what are the challenges, Neven has mentioned it already. Commissioner Breton in particular, that the incumbents are those telecom operators in Europe that are not assembled in ECTA but in ETNO. We're basically asking the CDNs, the so-called CAPs, content application providers, to co-fund by one means or the other the telcos expenditures on capacity building. This is particular the eyeball networks, the eyeball network operators. And I see this a bit as a challenge because from my point of view, it's really the first time that a regulating body in that part, the European Commission, is actually in Europe stepping into the connectivity market. it may happen or may not happen. Really depends on the outcome of the questionnaire. And the other challenge is what we haven't really touched yet, from my point of view, is okay, we have streaming, we have Netflix, Amazon Prime, and what have you. Like video streaming obviously is putting quite a bit of a load on all networks. And the other thing I'm looking at is all these the gazillion of small and smallest devices doing some sort of Internet of Things, not having any kind of like a real data footprint, but as there are so many, that might, from my point of view, put another challenge onto the network operators to handle that gazillion of small devices talking to each other more or less continuously, but without any kind of like how should I phrase this, without a continuous stream of data, so to say, like video. That would be, I guess, that possibly needs to be handled by a good interconnection model, by internet exchange points in particular, but also by PNI's private network interconnects amongst the various operators, the big ones as well as the smaller ones. That is, from my point of view, the challenges I would see.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I heard all these comments, and I especially loved what Neven was putting into the discussion, because that's a very actual thing what we need to talk about, in fact, and also coming down to what Carsten was coming to, what is the exact demand for the capacity. So when you say that, Carsten, we don't have a capacity shortage, I just moved last year, and by my local operator, I live in Hungary, and it's Magyar Telekom, the local affiliate of Deutsche Telekom. They installed me like on the third day when I ordered the service, a 500 meg download and whatever upload service, which was an excellent one because it's not a very urban area. I can tell you that the family of 5 people could immediately use the capacity what it provides in peak times, easily 500 meg download. So what we see that the demand is gradually going to grow, and I also have similar use cases for this bullcrap 5G thing, that when the same operator was releasing 5G for the summertime for the people, what I observed that before a long flight, if I wanted to download something from a streaming provider, I mean a video, what I wanted to watch on the flight, I thought that I'm lucky if I can download it when I start the download before departure, before going to the gate. Last time I was sitting on the plane already, and it was just before going to the taxiway. I clicked on the download, and literally it was downloading a 2 hours, 20 minutes movie in less than 1 minute using the 5G. That's, I would say, what I call user experience. And we need to make sure that it's not only that I have a 5G sign on my mobile phone. We need to have all the infrastructure what these operators are putting in place behind, talking about the RAN network, talking about the internet exchanges, talking about going down to the content provider. We need to make sure every single gear in this machine is working well to make such a user experience that I have a full movie on my handheld in less than 1 minute. And everybody takes a part in that one. We need to make sure that all these links in the chain are fit, because if one link is weak, then the whole user experience collapses. And that's what we all need to put the focus to, that how we make sure that all these links in the chain are in a good health condition. The other thing that Europe was inheriting a network which was the most developed in the previous century, I can say the century, putting all the copper pairs into the ground, establishing all the interconnections, the interconnections on an incumbent provider to incumbent provider basis. Prior to liberalization of the market was coming up, it was a fundamentally different footprint, country legislation, not even talking about the political establishment, what we had having, let's say, an iron curtain just right in the middle of Europe. That was also changing a couple of things, or predestinating a couple of companies how they should act in terms of interconnections. Unlike it was in fairly big countries, like in the beginning, talking about the US, for instance, or we can talk now about China, how the local operators are acting and building homogeneous networks, giving a consistent user experience at the end of the day. But what we can see now in the European Union, that in general, EU or Europe, just like that, was catching up on building these connectivities later than how other countries and the big markets could do as a kind of homogeneous network and doing the a kind of a greenfield investment into the network. But what we see now in Europe, that the investment on making fiber connections down to all the different locations, also supported by European Union big time. And just to mention that when I take a look to also the local affiliates in Hungary's building list, I see that on every single month, more than 1,000 locations out of like 2.4, 2.5 million addresses in the country, maybe 4 million addresses if you consider all the floors. They are just getting connected on and on and on. And even Magyar Telekom is not a 100% incumbent in the country, it's just like a 70% income. But take a look to Germany, the fast pace on putting the fiber into the ground, and really all the technicians are down and out on the fields to put the fibers into the ground. That's a really big catch up compared to what we used to experience in the past 10 years. And I think that this is on one side for the users, let it be consumers, so let it be enterprises, is going to be a big push on that. The connectivity is going to be in place for their business, for supporting their core demands, and we as the tech operators are going to still provide the expertise what they don't need to focus on, and they can focus on their core business. And also on the other side, this is going to pose a lot of increase in demand of interconnections, because the data which is going to put onto these access networks is also going to expand exponentially. So I agree with you that the focus has to be put there, but I think that we are in the process of doing these deployments, and we definitely need to catch up and carry on doing this to get into a better connectivity position. Thank you.
Nevin, you were saying you have more challenges. Because we need to understand the challenges and then go to the opportunities. What can we do about it? So
yeah,
please.
To continue with the challenges, because it's my
Love that.
there's a lot of interesting insights that we can see there. I mean, they're not hidden. I mean, nothing from what I say is secret. It's obvious in some cases. Just to give you an understanding of the continuing the topic of where the telecom industry stands. According to statistics, if you look at the data center capacity, like in terms of megawatts or rack space, whatever, already at the end of last year, already more than half, I think the exact number is 52%, of the data center capacity in the world is actually owned and used by a handful of companies. Those are the so-called hyperscalers. Now, we are sitting here talking about how much business we do, how much we grow, how much we do, and half of our business is already in the hands of 5 companies, 5 global companies. I mean, that's not a good sign. We're losing business big time. We're losing business, and it's going down and down and down. And if you think that I am pessimistic, I'm not pessimistic, because the hyperscalers, which mind you are not even telecom operators, and they're eating our lunch and breakfast and dinner, and they're very happy about it because they just need it and they just do it. They are, I mean, they're not going to push us out of business if we know what we're doing, what we should be doing, and we know we should realize, what is the weaknesses and what is the thing that they cannot do. I mean, it's one of my favorite examples of competition, of competition in business. This is when your competition cannot or doesn't want to do something specific. And in this case, this is customer service. Nobody from the big guys needs. I mean, they can, of course, but they don't need to do any specific customer service. If you wanna, I mean, that the Amazon, for example, they don't need to have an extensive customer service. They don't need to have pre-sales engineers. They don't need to have sales, forever, because they are the only one. You have to use them. You have no choice. So, but if you need somebody to help you use their services, you hire somebody else that is not from Amazon that will help you use their services. So actually, the customer service is one of the few things, and you are actually in customer focus as well, is one of the few things that we can do better than them, and we will always do better than them. And the enterprises, the customers of this industry will always need us to help them figure out, what to do with their networks, or how to make them work, how to maintain them in good shape, make sure they're secure and all that stuff. So this is where our strength lies, and this is where we can grow. We're not going to go away.
Okay. Hussein, if I may ask you now a bit on the other part, so on the opportunity side. So what are the opportunities in the context of improved capacity, competition, and resilience from your point of view?
Yeah, the opportunity is again related to the content providers, which is bringing the content closer to the users. Now, dealing with hyperscalers, we have to, this is a reality, and we cannot deny it. Whether we like it or not, we have to work with each other, and we have to bring the users close to the CDNs. Even if we are not making any money out of this, we will make our money from somewhere else, or we will be out of competition if we don't work closely with the hyperscalers. And the other opportunity in the market is offering with the new technologies, with SD-WAN, SDN, and this sort of technologies, we can offer true resilient self-healing solutions using these services. Now, for each new service, each new technology, adoption in the market takes time. I remember maybe 10 or 15 years ago when we used to say the word MPLS to the enterprise, it was a buzzword to them. So they will defend and they will, tell you that we need the legacy E1 or IPLC service. But now MPLS became the norm in the market, and all the other technologies will follow. There will be early adopters using those services, and this will be the trial and error field for these new technologies. But at the end, the whole market will be adopting those services, and all will be mainstreamers for the new services. And those are the opportunities.
Thank you.
Again, I'd like to come back to what Neven has just said. In that regard, connection and connectivity and interconnection is really a commodity. But in terms of using one of the hyperscalers compared to using one of the local or regional cloud providers, what I found here in Berlin, which is my hometown, whenever I go to sort of like functions, for example, the startup industry is quite big here in Berlin. And whenever I ask these guys, like, so how do you provide your services, or where do you provide your services? It's always one of the big three, so to say. And the thing is that they don't even know that there is options, that there's alternatives to the hyperscalers. Yeah. So to some extent, that also points back to us as being the industry behind it. Like, why is it that younger people, startup people, simply do not know that there is alternatives, that there is options when they would choose for their cloud service provider, really. Yeah. So the recommendation, really, and that is, I would call this the opportunity, is really for cloud service providers on a local or regional basis to go out to their potential customers, and possibly not where the competition is, but where the competition is not yet present. so to say, really. So that is what my recommendation really is yeah, go out and talk about the beauty of your own service, so that it really sets things into the minds of potential customers that they would have an alternative to the big five, so to say. Thank you.
Okay, Gabor, you want to add something to that, to what the opportunities might be for improved connectivity and everything over there?
Well, I'd love to hear more about the challenges, because I think that this is pretty much a kind of an interesting discussion.
To go to the opportunities already.
Yeah. But I think that the challenge, what one sees as a challenge, is something what we can turn into opportunities. That's why I love to hear the challenges. The challenge what the big three or in general the hyperscalers are putting on our business are definitely very visible. But Carsten, as you just said, that whenever we are talking about the users, even talking about the startup communities, which are usually starting small, and we are not talking about like an already established enterprise customer, for what Neven already mentioned, that we can provide a better customer service. For a startup, they are just starting small, and actually they are going for the services which are the easiest for them to use. What we need to see clear that we, being in the carrier industry, we are also the ones who are going to take the showers and put the fibers into the ground. The major question, also the major opportunity for us, is if we see our service as the fiber in the ground and as the people who are taking the shower, is what the top line of our service, what we can provide to the users or to the customers, or if we can go beyond that. And the opportunity for us is to rethink how we can also make offers or propositions to such smaller communities and startups, like Carsten, you were mentioning, that they are not turning to the natural selection for them, but they probably used in their during their curriculum in the academic environment and so on. But also we are able to convert into their business environment the propositions what we as the local telecommunication providers are able to offer. And that's what I believe we can turn into our benefit, that we are building up on the top of the infrastructure what we are putting in, and also all the expertise we have grown, as Hussein mentioned, during the MPLS times. We have really huge experience on how to serve customers in a good way. It's just more about how we are able to address them with the changed environment, that the customers rather going to cloud, going more into internet-based automated, like SD-WAN kind of solutions. That's what we need to give an answer to. Yeah.
Okay. Neven, listening to the challenges and the opportunities which is just being shared. Who else can, let's say, support us? Can internet exchange provide more cost-effective interconnectivity in this sort of complex ecosystem emerging actually from the cloud, or what are other, let's say, tools which can help us to improve, to make sure we get to those opportunities faster? A lot of questions, I know.
The internet exchanges are a good thing, and we, by the way, with our NetX platform, last night we won the best peering partner, best peering operator in the world, which was very nice. Thank you. But okay. I will introduce another idea that is quite different, that I think has a lot of that can give us a lot of food for thought. You know, there's a lot of talk about standardization in the industry, and the big guys just agreed at the end of last year on something called the Matter standard, which is a standard for interconnection of smart IoT devices. Okay, but if you look at it, the Matter is a standard for it's basically a layer 2 standard. Okay, it's a standard for interconnection on a layer 2 basis, just point to point, this device with the other device and stuff like that. I would actually like, and I think there's a lot of opportunity, I mean, huge opportunity there to build standards on a higher level, layer 3, for example. Make sure that those devices are smart enough that they can tell their peers how much capacity they can handle. when their capacity becomes closer to their limit, they can tell their other devices to throttle a little bit the traffic or make another way to get that traffic. Then start thinking about layer 4 and layer 5 and higher layers of standards where you can actually sell devices that are like Lego pieces, okay? Where you can just put them in your house and make sure that you don't need to call any network engineer to tell you how to connect the IPLCs and the VLANs and all that bullshit that you don't know, all these abbreviations.
Or you don't want to.
And you don't want to actually, you just want to, actually put them in your house. Doesn't matter where. I mean, if you want to have internet in your garage, you just go and put a smart plug there, and you know that this smart plug is going to handle everything, not just tell that it's on and off. This is simple, but it can actually carry traffic, give you extended network, do a lot of things by itself, and you know that it will work. And this will actually, I think, will change the whole outlook of the whole, industry. Will make it easier to maintain these networks because they'll be really smart. Now that I will call smart. Not being able to connect to the next one. This is not smart. This is dumb. Okay. The smart one would be to actually work on the highest level. Make sure that your Zoom call is not struggling. When calling somebody on the other side of the world, and then the problem is not in your network. And this be elevated at the level of the home network, at the operator network. Use the same standard everywhere. So it's a lot easier to actually maintain such things. I can tell you that only last year we had a problem with the largest network provider in the world, where we had, we were buying a service from them from Sofia to Frankfurt, not in the middle of the desert, okay? From Sofia to Frankfurt. That's it, okay? And they couldn't deliver it. They had problems. We tracked down the only engineer in that organization that was sitting somewhere in the Midwest of the United States that could help us solve the stupid problem. Now, this should not happen. This should never happen. Only one person in the biggest network operator in the world being able to debug a problem. This is a shame. It's not a problem.
Absolutely. Hussein, from you want to jump in?
Sure, yes. Now, the internet exchange concept in the Middle East is relatively new. So we're talking about less than 10 years of experience in internet exchanges. But we noticed, high demand on the internet exchanges. Now, one of the first ISPs that connected to the internet exchange that we host was, they requested 100 gig at the beginning, and they realized that they need 300 gig, not a single 100 gig. Now, this is a problem because ISPs don't really know how much capacity they need, or if you go a step back, they don't know they need internet exchange services. So it will give them cheaper IP, which is if we go down to the main benefits of any internet exchange, cheaper IP, better latency. They don't know they can get this from an internet exchange till they start using it. And then they will see jumps in their bandwidth to the internet exchange. Number two, it's a game of chicken or egg, which is first. So if you have an internet exchange in this region, if you don't have enough eyeballs, you can't have enough peers. And if you don't have enough peers, you can't have more eyeballs. So that's the other challenge facing any internet exchange in the region. But in general, yes, internet exchanges are improving the user experience for the home users and for the enterprise users the same way.
Okay, thank you, Hussein. I'm just looking at my watch and know that this guy has another panel coming up, so we have to be a bit quicker, and maybe we should go a bit already to the closing rounds, even if that I know that there is so much to discuss there. But we're talking about here at for the enterprise summit actually, and how to connect now and in the future. So what I would like to do is from each of you have sort of a closing round, a takeaway for the audience to understand, hey, this is what I have to look out for, or this is what I would like to see coming very fast because it will enable us to. So Gabor, if I may start with you kindly.
Well, thank you. So the key takeaway, what I would say that we started to talk about connectivity and we very quickly navigated into threats and opportunities kind of discussion. Threats, what the OTTs are putting on us, how we are going to be able to counteract a kind of a natural decline on the business if we are letting other players to grow on that one. And how does it come to the connectivity for me? That it is also very clear that if we are cooperating as the different players on the market, then we can make any kind of counteraction effectively and also being able to benefit from the opportunities what the startup community or the new business models are bringing to us. Well, we need more fibers. We are digging. We are taking the showers. We need to provide also mobility connectivity. That's also very clear. That's what the users are looking for. That's what the enterprises are looking for. And that's where we are also putting a lot of focus on investments, I think, all over Europe and all over the world. We need to carry on doing all that. We need to make sure that every gear in the machine is in a good and healthy condition to provide the right user experience.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gabor. Never?
Thank you. I think there is more money in the world than people that can actually with good projects that can put it to work. So my usual advice is think and be creative, and you'll be successful. There's no other way.
Thank you. Hussein, your closing statement. What should we
Yeah,
do?
I think there are many entities affecting the demand and the user experience. Now, I would say regulators, governments, telecom operators, cable owners. Now, you know that there are sometimes there are no shortages in the capacity, but the capacity is being a hostage with the capacity owner. Now we need to stop this in the region. We need to cooperate with each other to have a better sustainable experience for the user and sustainable business for telecom operators. So my statement is cooperate between all these entities.
Finally, and start working, right?
That's our wish.
All right, Karsten.
Famous last words. As a consultant, I guess, and this, as you rightly said, is the Enterprise Summit here. So a sort of recommendation or advice to enterprises would be take your connectivity fate into your own hands in terms of as an enterprise would just not hand out its domain name to like any third entity, for example, to have it managed by the third entity as a domain name holder. You would also go for, say, own number resources, because with own number resources, it's easier to, which would be autonomous system numbers and IP addresses, of course. It is much easier to connect to internet exchange points as an enterprise directly, to connect to the cloud service providers being present at an internet exchange point, and also to connect, because you, after all, would need carriers to for your upstream, but with own number resources, you could also switch between carriers or have a multi-carrier homing strategy and so forth. So that would be a recommendation to carriers, as I said, take your connectivity fate into your own hands and just do not rely on a single internet service provider. Thank you.
Okay. And with those last words, I would like to thank, first of all, the audience for being with us, and you know, hopefully the key experts could share the knowledge with you. Of course, I would like to thank my panelists, so Nevin, Gabor, and Karsten, but also virtually over there, but very close to us, Hussein. Thank you, thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your knowledge, and hopefully we picked up a couple of things. And last but not least, I want to thank the sponsor, Gabor. Thank you so much, Deutsche Telekom, for sponsoring this session. For me, it's over, guys. I'm out of here. Carsten will take over my role. I need some coffee and some lunch, but I would like to thank you all for being here, listening to us, and panelists. Thank you so much, and keep it up, and let's keep on educating the world, and make sure that we get interconnected and that we get everything as fast as possible if needed.